Traditional oil paint was made from a simple combination of two ingredients. The first is the binder, the material that glues the colored particles to the canvas or panel. In oil paint, the binder is a drying oil, a fluid that absorbs oxygen from the air and becomes a solid film over time. The most common drying oil was flax oil, usually called linseed oil. It was pressed from the seeds collected from the flax plant, like those shown here. The same plant was used as the source for the fibers used to make linen canvases. Here's a sample of linseed oil. The other ingredient is the pigment. This is an insoluble powder which provides the color to the paint. Pigments were derived from a number of sources. Historically, a large percentage of pigments were made by grinding natural earths containing iron oxides. Here we see a lump of red earth and red earth pigment made from a similar sample. Other pigments were made from ground up minerals, simple chemical reactions, and even from extracts from plants and bugs. This engraving from around 1600 shows a painter's studio in the early 17th century. A detail depicts the artist's assistants preparing oil paint. Here we see red earth being placed on a granite slab. A little linseed oil is then added in increments. It's important to add only enough to create a stiff, barely workable paste. Excess linseed oil will cause the resultant paint to become yellow-brown over time. The quantity of oil needed to make a good paint differs with each color depending on pigment size, morphology, and chemical reactivity. This makes it difficult to simply follow formulas for the small-scale production of paint. Additionally, the paint maker may want to make a paint of a specific consistency for a particular painterly effect. This stiff paste is then worked with a muller to fully disperse the pigments into the linseed oil binder. Slabs and mullers were originally made from granite or porphyry. Glass mullers and plates were used later. Today, oil paints are made in large industrial roller mills. The paste of pigment and oil must be mulled for many minutes before it becomes a usable paint. The paint maker needs to continue to remove paste from the edges of the muller and redistribute it so that it can be properly mulled and the pigments fully dispersed in the binder. Our paint maker is using a figure-8 motion as an economical way to effectively mull the paint. As the paste is worked, it loosens up and becomes more glossy. This is evidence of the pigments becoming fully dispersed. The paint maker may find that the paint is too loose and additional pigment needs to be added and mulled again, or it may require a touch more oil to be just right. Each pigment will also create a paint with individual physical characteristics. Some are short and buttery, while others are long and runny. This video was created for the Art Conservation Department at the University of Delaware. I'm Assistant Professor Brian Boddy.